Wait. Look at this photo. Look at it very carefully. Because the moment you see it, you will understand exactly why Shohei Ohtani said what he said. Two faces. Same eyes. Same nose. Same quiet strength in that tiny expression. The first child and the second child, side by side, and anyone who sees these four photos will immediately think, these two are going to be unstoppable. But before we talk about the family, let's talk about what happened on the field. Because on the same day this news broke, Ohtani did something at the plate that reminded everyone, in case they had somehow forgotten, exactly who this man is. Shohei Ohtani hit his 17th home run of the season. And while the number itself is impressive, the more important story is how he hit it. This was not a mistake pitch. This was not a hitter catching a lucky fastball over the middle of the plate. Ohtani worked the count, identified the pitch he wanted, and then did what only he can do. He turned on it with the kind of swing that makes outfielders not even bother moving. From a pitcher's perspective, facing Ohtani as a hitter is one of the most uncomfortable experiences in baseball. That's because you cannot plan for him the same way you plan for other elite hitters. With most great hitters, you can build a strategy. You can say, this batter struggles with breaking balls low and away in 2 strike counts. You can prepare. But with Ohtani, the moment you think you have found a pattern, he adjusts. He sees what you are doing. And then he punishes you for thinking you had a plan. The 17th home run is important not just as a number, but as a signal. Ohtani is not slowing down. He is not carrying the weight of new fatherhood as a burden. He is carrying it as fuel. Now let's talk about what really moved people this week. Ohtani shared 4 photos of his children, the first child and the newly born second child together for the first time. And the reaction was immediate and unanimous. Fans across Japan, across America, across the entire baseball world looked at these photos and said the same thing. They look exactly alike. And they do. It is remarkable. The resemblance is the kind that makes you look twice, then a third time. Same calm expression. Same gentle features. There is something quietly extraordinary about seeing these two faces together, because you realize you are looking at the next generation of a family that already carries one of the most remarkable names in the history of the sport. But what made these photos even more meaningful was the context in which Ohtani shared them. He did not post them with a long caption. He did not make a grand announcement. He simply shared the photos, 4 of them, and let the images speak. That is very much in line with who Ohtani is as a person. He does not seek attention. He earns it through what he does, and then he steps back and lets the moment breathe. Perhaps the most touching detail in all of this was the visit from Dodgers manager Dave Roberts. Roberts did not just send a message. He did not delegate a team representative to drop off a gift. He went himself. He visited Ohtani's home, sat with the family, and personally delivered gifts for the newborn. And this detail matters more than it might initially seem. Think about what it says about the relationship between Ohtani and Roberts. This is not a manager-player relationship built purely on contract and performance. This is genuine human warmth. Roberts, a man who manages one of the most high-pressure rosters in baseball history, took personal time to celebrate this moment with his player. That kind of connection, that kind of trust, does not develop overnight. It is built over shared experiences, over difficult games, over the kind of respect that only comes when you have been through real challenges together. When Roberts walked into that home and handed over those gifts, he was not acting as a manager. He was acting as someone who genuinely cares about Shohei Ohtani, not the baseball player, but the person. And in a sport where player-management relationships can often feel transactional, that gesture stood out. It also, in some small way, explains why Ohtani continues to perform the way he does. When your manager shows up for you like that, when your organization treats you as a human being first and an asset second, it creates an environment where a player can give everything he has. Ohtani is clearly in that environment. Now for the detail that everyone is talking about. The second child's weight was described as extraordinary. Significant. The kind of number that made people raise their eyebrows when they heard it. And when Ohtani was asked about his newborn son, he gave an answer that only Shohei Ohtani could give. He said, "He might become a three-way player in the future." Read that again. A three-way player. Not a two-way player like his father, a three-way player. Ohtani, the man who has already redefined what is possible in professional baseball, is already dreaming bigger for his son. He is already imagining something that does not yet exist. That is not just a father's pride talking. That is the mindset of a man who has spent his entire life being told that what he wanted to do was impossible, and then doing it anyway. There is a humor in the quote, of course. And Ohtani clearly delivered it with a smile. But underneath the humor is something very real. This is a man who does not think in conventional limits. He never has. When he came to Major League Baseball, people said you could not be both an ace-level starting pitcher and an elite-level hitter at the same MLB level simultaneously. He made them look wrong. He has continued to make them look wrong, season after season. So when he jokes that his son might become a three-way player, part of you wonders, what if he is not entirely joking? What if he is, in the back of his mind, imagining a future that none of us can quite picture yet? That is the thing about Ohtani. He has trained us to believe the impossible is only impossible until he does it. Across this entire week, the home run, the photos, the manager's visit, the extraordinary newborn, the quote about the three-way player, what we are really seeing is a portrait of who Shohei Ohtani is when no one is watching. He is a man who hits his 17th home run and goes home to hold his children. He is a man who welcomes his manager into his home not as an obligation but as a genuine expression of a relationship built on trust. He is a man who looks at his newborn son and does not think about weight charts and developmental milestones. He thinks about baseball and possibility and a future that no one has imagined yet. On the field, Ohtani gives you the 17th home run. Off the field, he gives you 4 photos that make an entire world stop and smile. The two-way player is also, it turns out, a two-way person. He competes with a ferocity that borders on intimidating. And then he goes home to his family and becomes something quieter and softer, a father who thinks his son might one day do something that even he himself has not yet done. That combination, the competitor and the father, the icon and the person, is exactly why Shohei Ohtani is unlike anyone who has ever played this game. And looking at those 4 photos, at 2 faces that look so alike, at a family that carries the name Ohtani into its next generation, you cannot help but think, whatever comes next for this family, it is going to be extraordinary. Just like everything else Shohei Ohtani has ever done. What did you think of Ohtani's quote about a three-way player? Do you think his children will follow in his footsteps? Let us know in the comments below.